What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers may be able to land Myles Turner through the Brooklyn Nets and Nic Claxton. So still a lot of talk, a lot of buzz about a potential just massive team deal that is apparently being worked on. We'll see if that actually comes through. It's very hard to get 5, 6, 7 teams involved, right? The more teams involved, the harder it becomes. But with the new CBA, it's kind of the path now in order to get the pieces for these teams. A lot of these teams are first, second apron teams, right? So they need to be creative. They need the help of others. You get a lot of teams that are kind of in the middle of the pack. You're seeing Utah make several trades that are just kind of being hey, dump team. Dump them on to me, and we'll take the assets, a second-round pick here and there, right? There's more teams that are willing to do that. Brooklyn wants to maintain cap flexibility. So they are kind of open to, hey, we'll pretty much trade anybody as long as we can just kind of have clean slate, clean boards. The Lakers are still interested in Day'Ron Sharpe. There is reports that came out that the Lakers are supposed to have conversations again with a potential Day'Ron Sharpe trade. But Nic Claxton, right? Obviously, Lakers, if they just landed Nic Claxton, I'd be okay with that. But their real prize is Myles Turner. And the Indiana Pacers are very reluctant. They don't want to trade Myles Turner, but they might not have a choice, right? He wants $30+ million. Now, Nic Claxton, however, Nic Claxton is making $27 million. Now, you might be asking, Tyler, if they don't want to pay Myles Turner $30 million, why would they want to pay Nic Claxton $27 million? Well, I'll explain. His contract actually drops each year. So you're actually saving money as each year progresses. He makes $27 million this year. He doesn't make $27 million next year. So this year he makes $27.5 million. Next year he makes $25.3 million, then $23 million, then $20 million. So his contract, he's losing $2 to $3 million per year, which again, Myles Turner is going to get $30 million, then $35 million, then $37. His contract is probably going to be, pretty hefty. Where one way goes up, the other way goes down, and they have Nembhard's contract extension and all that stuff. So that could be something. Now, supposedly the Indiana Pacers would be willing to take on a player such as a Nic Claxton because they need to replace Myles Turner, right? They need a starting caliber guy. Also, Nic Claxton's 25 years old. Obviously, he doesn't give the floor spacing that Myles Turner does, but he does give you the defense, the rebounding, and a few other things, right? And he's kind of been just floating with the Nets. He started off terrible. He was having a really bad season to start the year, but he really has been better and progressed as the season's gone on. But he's playing 25 minutes a game for them, right? They're trying to lose, for one, and two, they want clean white boards. So either the Lakers could work something out in a 3-team scenario where it's just Claxton's going to the Indiana Pacers with Myles Turner coming to the Lakers, and then the problem is would the Brooklyn Nets want to take on a Rui Hachimura? Probably not, right? He isn't expiring after next year, so maybe they can unload him, but probably not. My thought process is, at worst, if you can do it in the grand, trade, which is all focused on the Spurs and the Kings, right? It's the De'Aaron Fox trade, and everyone is trying to pile in on that to get and pluck various pieces, right? To me, if you can add on to that, then perfect. Okay, fine. But if not, I think you bring in Atlanta, because Atlanta supposedly has interest in Rui Hachimura because they lost Jalen Johnson. So my thought process, this is just me, right, would be you take Lakers get Myles Turner. There will be little nuances involved, but Lakers get Myles Turner. Nic Claxton goes to the Pacers, and then you have Clint Capella go to the Brooklyn Nets. Why would Brooklyn want to take Clint Capella? Because he's a $22.5 million or whatever expiring contract, right? So the Indiana Pacers, they get their guy in Nic Claxton to replace Myles Turner while his contract keeps dropping. Lakers end up landing their guy in Myles Turner, right? And then Rui Hachimura plus whatever compensation, probably give up the 2 seconds or something like that, would go there. Maybe there's little pieces here and there. Lakers also have interest in Bogdan Bogdanovic, and there's talks about the Lakers maybe getting Bogdan Bogdanovic and a Myles Turner, or Mathurin as another piece. But I want to keep it simple. If some other pieces might come along, other pieces might come along, right? But just to keep the simplistics of a Myles Turner trade, basically you're just everyone swap. You have musical chairs of centers, right? So again, like you have Myles Turner going to the Lakers, Nic Claxton moves over to the Pacers, and then the Brooklyn Nets get a Clint Capella, and then the Atlanta Hawks will get Rui plus probably Gabe Vincent to make the money work, right? And then everyone's happy, everyone wins. Obviously, assets would probably go to Brooklyn. A first, 2 firsts probably go to Brooklyn. Like I said, a couple seconds probably go elsewhere. But that's why there'll probably be other moving parts, because I don't think the Lakers are going to trade like 2 firsts and a pick swap to get Myles Turner, or 2 firsts and 2 seconds to get Myles Turner. But I could see something. It really boils down to the Nets and how much do they want for Nic Claxton. But they're clearing off his entire salary, right? So that has value in and of itself. So maybe 1 first is going to the Brooklyn Nets, and maybe another first is going to Atlanta. But even if you're going to trade a first to Atlanta, you'd still need to get some pieces. I mean, and then for the Indiana Pacers, it makes all the sense in the world for them, because now they get a cheaper starting center that's still 25 years old, that can still have growth potential and upside, right? And it fixes your issues with like, okay, well, who's going to be our starter, right? Well, now you don't have to worry about it. You got Nic Claxton. You got him for the next 4 years at least, or 3.5 years at least, with his number dropping each year. So gives you flexibility year in and year out as guys are getting, their extensions and stuff like that. He's coming down on a contract. So I think that that's probably the best chance for the Lakers to get Myles Turner. And this is something that has been talked about. Like I didn't just make this up. Like the 6-team trade or whatever that's supposed to be going on. Nic Claxton, Bogdanovich, several Chris Paul, like all these players are supposed to be involved. Where they're going is where we don't know, right? That's where I was like, hey, maybe that's the path for the Lakers to get it, or you just do it independently. So the Nic Claxton to the Pacers and all that was a thought process that I had that I touched on briefly in a previous video when I was breaking down the mega trade. But I was like, hey, you know what? Like, let me break this down further into a video thought process. I'm pretty confident you'd have to get Atlanta into the deal, right? Because Brooklyn, I don't think, is going to want to take on a bunch of salary and a bunch of players, right? Their thought process in trading Nic Claxton, and from what we've seen based on all the trades that they've made, is to go get a guy like, or clear the salary, right? So go get a guy like a Clint Capella that clears the salary. Or you do that trade, like if you can't get Myles Turner, let's say Indiana's like, no, absolutely not. We don't want Myles Turner. Then if you're the Lakers, could you go do that trade with just Atlanta, Brooklyn, and you, right? Where Rui and Gabe are going to Atlanta, right? Clint Capella's going to the Brooklyn Nets, and then Nic Claxton's maybe going to the Lakers, right? I wouldn't hate Nic Claxton. I wouldn't hate adding Nic Claxton, right? 6'11". My problem is he's not that big physical center, right? He's 6'11", 215, 220, right? So he's thin, frail, right? He's an upgraded version of Jackson Hayes, right? He's like, what we want Jackson Hayes to be is basically what Nic Claxton is. But he's 25 years old, so you have him for now. Defensively, he's really good. Blocks anywhere from, 2 to 2.5 shots a game. So he can be that shot blocker, be that rim protector. He rebounds well. This is a guy, this year, again, his numbers are down, but all the other years, right? It's also because his minutes are down, but all the other years, he's been basically like a 12 and 10 guy, right? With anywhere from 2 to 2.5 blocks per game. It's a guy that I think could easily slot in, be a floor-running big, kind of give you that elevated ceiling. You could probably get a Bogdanovich in the move also, because again, you're freeing up salary for Brooklyn, freeing up a lot of salary for Brooklyn. And, they get the Atlanta Hawks get assets in return, right? Again, whatever the little nuances are. I just think that this is paths either way to get Myles Turner or a Nic Claxton, right? And you're using Atlanta and Brooklyn as kind of the hubs, right? Because again, Lakers and these teams, they have to get creative here, right? Like, so Lakers want a center, they need a center. How do you solve that? Well, this is how you solve it, right? You work it out to where, this guy comes here, and this guy goes here, and this guy goes over here, and this guy goes over here, and you're sending out salary, and you're doing whatever, because Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent equal Nic Claxton. You actually clear $1 million off your books. So you'd free up a roster spot. You'd get a young center. You'd still have like Jalen Uchafino and a bunch of like little small scale contracts to maybe go make a move for another like, smaller guy. You go get like an Io, right? Io would be great, right? Like, could you work something out to get Io? Because again, there is a value in Brooklyn. It's why they were willing to drop their asking price before on all these guys, right? On a Dorian Finney-Smith, on a Dennis Schroeder, because they want to clear salary. So if you're the Lakers, you could use Clint Capella to free salary for this potential trade and put yourself in a position to land a premier center in a Myles Turner or a Nic Claxton. I think that's the route that the Lakers should go. Personally, again, kind of like taking information that is out there and kind of using my noodle to figure out a way to get the Lakers a piece that they need. Now, obviously, we'll see what happens. We're vastly approaching to the trade deadline. We're, 5 days away now? So, right there. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, yes, that's a great path to get Myles Turner or even a Nic Claxton? Do you think, no, stay away from these guys? It's too convoluted, it's too complicated. You'd have to give up your picks, obviously. But again, if the Lakers are willing to give up both first to go get Myles Turner anyway, then fine, do that. Or, you give up a pick. If you can land Myles Turner and Bogdan Bogdanovic or Nic Claxton and like a Bogdan Bogdanovic, which would be a little tougher, but you could still get there, then fine, so be it. I would prefer Myles Turner, honestly, myself, if you could get that. If you get Myles Turner and Bogdan Bogdanovic, beautiful. But we'll see. Time will tell. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so let me know either way down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.